My parents sued me for the house I bought with my own savings after letting my unemployed brother crash for 3 months. But when I revealed the truth in court, shocked everyone. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Growing up, my parents always favored Tyler. He got the newest gadgets, full allowance, and praise for mediocrity. I got hand-me-down silence and endless chores. My used Ford Taurus became a symbol of survival. I bought it with my summer job money. When I asked why they treated us differently, Mom said, "He needs more." That phrase drilled into my brain, becoming the blueprint for every betrayal that followed, and I swallowed it every time. Tyler wrecked the family sedan drunk driving at 16, and my parents replaced it with a new SUV, no consequences. Why I broke a dish, Dad yelled until I cried. Kevin, my best friend, once asked if I was adopted. It became a running joke, but the truth stung. My parents looked at Tyler like he was fragile glass. Me, I was their backup generator, dependable, silent, and noticed until they needed something, and I always gave it. After closing on my first house, Mom asked if Tyler could crash for just a few weeks. I hesitated, but she guilted me. Family helps family. Kevin warned me, but I caved. Tyler showed up with 2 garbage bags and no job. 3 days in, he was gaming until 3 a.m., eating my groceries, and stinking up the bathroom. I saw the red bow from his old Jeep in his duffel. That thing haunted me. One weekend, Tyler hadn't applied to a single job. He threw a party while I was working late. When I came home, beer cans littered the floor and strangers were passed out on my couch. He laughed it off. "Lighten up, Logan." I wanted to scream. Sarah, my girlfriend, stopped coming over. My sanctuary felt poisoned. Still, Mom insisted I be patient. "He's just adjusting," she said. Adjusting to what? Free rent and no rules. I set boundaries, no parties. Apply to 3 jobs a week, kitchen for utilities. Tyler agreed and ignored every rule. I found my toothpaste half gone, fridge wiped clean, and my Wi-Fi throttled by his streaming. When I confronted him, he said, "It's not that deep, bro." Kevin offered to let me crash at his place. My own home felt invaded. Sarah said it bluntly, "They're using you." I didn't want to believe it. Then came the job interview lie. Tyler claimed he had interviews lined up, sent me fake emails to prove it. Kevin spotted the font inconsistency. When I asked Tyler, he exploded. "You don't trust family," he barked. Mom took his side immediately. "Logan, you're being paranoid." That night, I locked my bedroom door. My house wasn't mine anymore. Even Sarah said, "This isn't just freeloading, it's manipulation." I felt like a stranger under my own roof. I came home early and found Tyler throwing another party, people I didn't know smoking on my porch, music blasting. My blood boiled. I told everyone to get out. Tyler sneered, "You can't kick me out. I live here." I snapped, "You're a guest, not a tenant," he smirked. "We'll see about that." The next morning, I filed formal eviction papers. Kevin helped me document everything, Sarah said finally. But I had a sick feeling growing. Tyler retaliated by calling Mom and Dad. They showed up, arms crossed, calling me heartless. Dad demanded I drop the eviction. "He's your brother." Tyler watched smugly from the porch. I pointed at the mess. "This isn't family, this is exploitation." Sarah stayed silent, but Kevin said, "They're gaslighting you." I felt trapped. Mom's tears didn't sway me this time. I handed them the legal notice. Tyler tore up. "This isn't over," he hissed. A week later, I found the lock stamper with Tyler had tried to break in while I was at work. I called the police. They warned him but didn't arrest him. It's a civil matter. I installed cameras. Sarah moved up for her safety. I sat alone in my living room, lights dim, watching the footage. My heart pounded every time headlights flashed outside. This wasn't tension, it was warfare, and I was losing ground fast. Kevin suggested we dig into tenant rights and property law. That's when I realized Tyler was bluffing. He had no lease, no receipts, no paper trail. We gathered screenshots, texts, and surveillance footage. Scott, a lawyer Kevin knew, offered help. Sarah said, "You need to go nuclear." I felt vindicated but afraid. My parents still backed him. They called me selfish, dramatic. The lines were drawn. It was time to end this legally and completely. Scott filed for a restraining order. Tyler violated it within day, on camera knocking on my window at midnight. The footage showed his slurred speech, aggressive tone. The judge granted a temporary order, and Tyler was warned again. My parents said I was ruining the family. Kevin said, "You're saving yourself." Sarah cried when she saw the footage. "He's dangerous," she whispered. I felt raw, but finally, I had the law on my side. The court hearing came fast. Tyler showed up in a suit 2 sizes too big, flanked by our parents. I walked in alone with Kevin and Scott behind me. My voice didn't shake. I laid out everything, the freeloading, the threats, the evidence. Tyler scoffed. Dev rolled his eyes. But the judge listened. When the restraining order was upheld, Tyler cursed out loud. The bailiff warned him. I walked out, heart pounding, fists clenched. Free at last. I thought it was over. But a week later, I got served. My parents were suing me for the house, claiming emotional equity and parental investment. They said feeding me as a child entitled them to partial ownership. Kevin nearly choked on his coffee. "This is psychotic," he said. Scott called it the most absurd case he'd seen, but it was real, and I knew who was behind it. Tyler. This was his revenge campaign. Their lawsuit included fabricated texts, claiming I promised to gift them the house someday. The messages were obvious fakes, wrong formatting, phrases I'd never use. Scott brought in a digital forensics expert. Kevin started combing old chats. We found real messages where Tyler mocked my mortgage. It was textbook projection. Sarah, now back in my life, said, "They're unhinged." My hands shook reading the documents. They weren't just betraying me, they were trying to erase me. Tyler held a live street rant, claiming I abused him emotionally, called him names, kicked him out like trash. My parents commented supportively. The clip went semi-viral, mostly mocked, but it stung. Kevin said, "They're building a narrative." Scott warned me to stay silent, let facts speak, but my inbox flooded with hate. I felt exposed. Sarah suggested we go public with our side. I wasn't ready. The shame ran deep. They were twisting everything. In history. Then came the job claim. Tyler said he helped pay my mortgage by working on the house. He showed photos of him holding tools. I remembered those days. He posed for 5 minutes, then napped while I painted. Scott subpoenaed receipts, all contractors paid by me. Sarah unearthed timestamps from her photo app showing Tyler asleep during workdays. The court smelled the fraud, but it proved one thing: they weren't backing down. They were going nuclear. During discovery, we found something chilling. Mom had tried to transfer utility bills into her name weeks before suing. She was building a false paper trail. Scott said, "That's calculated fraud." Kevin was speechless. I stared at the document, her handwriting, Her signature. This wasn't just about Tyler, they all planned this. My family wasn't confused, they were complicit. I felt something die inside. Sarah held my hand. We'll end this, legally permanently, and I believed her. To discredit their suit, Scott called a surprise witness Jake. My cousin Abe lived with my parents years ago. He testified about similar manipulation. They used guilt like a weapon. Tyler always got a pass. The judge listened intently. Jake brought old texts from Mom, calling me Logan the M. I felt nauseous. That was her nickname for me. It hit like a punch. The court saw it too. Finally, their mask started to slip. On cross-examination, Tyler cracked. When asked to list his contributions, he stammered, claimed emotional labor counted. The courtroom chuckled. He glared at me. The judge asked for proof. He had none. Kevin whispered, "That's the beginning of the end." I exhaled. For the first time, I felt the tide turn. Mom looked pale. Dad avoided eye contact. Their house of lies was crumbling. But I didn't gloat. I just watched. Finally, unblinking. After court, Tyler posted a revenge TikTok mocking me. Twisting facts. It got taken down, but not before local news picked it up. A journalist contacted me. Scott advised silence, but Sarah urged transparency. I released a short statement. I support truth and legal boundaries. Family should never justify abuse. It went viral for good this time. Thousands commented, "This is my story too." For once, the internet wasn't cruel. It was my defense wall. The next blow came through the bank. Tyler tried to file a fraudulent lien, claiming partial ownership. Luckily, the bank flagged it. Scott said, "That's felony territory." I reported it. An investigation began. Sarah hugged me tightly. "They're desperate now." I nodded. At the dread state. This wasn't family drama, it was organized sabotage. Kevin looked at me and said, "You're not crazy. You're just the first one to say no." That stuck with me. We found out Tyler was behind anonymous tips to Child Protective Services against Sarah, saying she neglected her niece. Total lies. Sarah was devastated. Her sister had to explain to a social worker. Scott said it was retaliation. We gathered at blocks. Traced the emails back to Tyler's device. When we presented it, the room went cold. Even the judge looked disgusted. "This is abusive process," he said. Tyler's smug mask finally cracked. Mom took the stand next. Her voice trembled at first, then sharpened. "We raised him, we deserve respect." She glared at me like I was a stranger. Scott calmly pulled up receipts, years of me paying rent, groceries, utilities while living with them. He showed texts where she mocked my work schedule. The judge interrupted. "This isn't about parenting. It's about entitlement." Mom's lip quivered. She knew. The courtroom silence was deafening. Her lies had collapsed. Outside court, a reporter cornered Dad. He said, "We just wanted fairness." The clip aired that night. Comments poured in, calling them manipulative. Toxic, classic enablers. My phone buzzed nonstop. Kevin read aloud Logan's story is every eldest daughter's nightmare. It hit me. I wasn't alone. This wasn't just my war. Sarah said, "You've become a symbol." I didn't want to be, but I wouldn't run either. Let them see. Let them know how it ends. The judge asked for closing arguments. Scott stood up. "This is not about shared property. It's about control, emotional and financial." The plaintiff weaponized family roles to justify theft. Tyler scoffed. Mom wiped a tear. Dad stared at the floor. I looked at the judge, steady. My voice didn't tremble. I earned this home alone. That courtroom didn't echo. But the silence afterward, that was power. That was me, reclaiming everything they tried to erase. The verdict came swift. The lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice. The judge added a scathing note. This was a blatant abuse of familial trust for financial gain. Tyler screamed, had to be escorted out. Mom sobbed quietly. Dad said nothing. Sarah squeezed my hand. Kevin mouthed, "You did it." I didn't smile, not yet, but inside. Something exhaled till weight lifted. Years of being their scapegoat gone in 77 words from a courtroom bench. After court, I walked to my car and found a note under the wiper. Just one line, "You'll always be alone." No name, but the handwriting was Dad's. Sarah snapped a photo. Scott said we could press harassment charges if needed. I didn't flinch. Kevin said, "That's not a threat, it's fear talking maybe." Or maybe it was a curse. Either way, it failed. I started the engine and drove home my home without looking back. Days later, Tyler posted an apology video, forced, monotone, clearly legal advised. He claimed regret, but never mentioned the lies, the lawsuit, or the sabotage. The comments were brutal. Nobody bought it. A week after he deleted all his socials, Mom stopped replying to reporters. Dad, last I heard, he moved in with a cousin out of state. The Golden family had cracked. Sarah said, "They lost the only thing that mattered, control." I nodded. Finally, I checked my mailbox and found a card, no return address. Inside, a folded photo of young me and Tyler. Both in Halloween costumes. The back read, "We were good ones." My stomach dropped. It had to be Mom. I didn't respond. I burned it in the sink as Sarah watched, silent. Kevin said, "Closure doesn't need a stamp." He was right. I wasn't that kid anymore. I had scars, but I wasn't theirs to reopen. Jake called me. He'd been distant since court. "Logan, I'm proud of you," he said. "You stood up." I couldn't. We talked for an hour about childhood, the roles we were shoved into. He said he was going no contact with our parents too. I felt tears in my throat. For once, I wasn't just surviving. I was inspiring something better. Jake said, "You gave us all permission." That hit deeper than any courtroom one ever could. I started documenting everything, texts, voice notes, court filings, not just for safety, for story. Sarah suggested a blog. Kevin helped design it. I called it Boundaries Bloodlines. The first post, "What happens when family breaks you then demands applause." It went viral. I didn't name names, but everyone like me knew. Women messaged, "You told my life." Strangers donated legal resources. This wasn't revenge, it was reclamation. I didn't just win, I made the silence shatter. At a bookstore reading, a woman stood up and said, "You saved me." I didn't know her, but she cried and I cried too. Sarah squeezed my shoulder. Kevin whispered, "Told you, I never planned to be a voice. I just didn't want to be silent anymore." Tyler took my peace. My parents tried to steal my truth. Now strangers were handing it back, wrapped in gratitude, sealed with healing. My story wasn't a weapon. It was a torch. An old neighbor emailed me. "I always wondered why your dad yelled so much. I'm sorry I didn't say anything." Another sent flowers. Quiet apologies trickled in years late, but real. They saw now. Sarah said, "You didn't just expose them, you educated them." I wasn't angry anymore, not at them, just tired. But in that tiredness was peace, recognition. I didn't need revenge, I needed clarity. And I'd finally burned through the fog of loyalty. Months later, I got a certified letter. Mom and Dad were being audited. Apparently, the lawsuit drew her attention. They'd underreported income for years. Sarah laughed. Kevin said, "Karma has good aim." I didn't cheer. I just filed it away. Some consequences don't need celebration. They just need time. That's what they never understood. You can't outsmart the truth forever. You can delay it, twist it, bury it, but eventually, it knocks louder than any courtroom. Tyler texted once more. Just 2 words, "I'm sorry." No context, no follow-up. I didn't reply. I forwarded it to Scott and blocked the number. Kevin asked, "Did it feel good?" I shrugged. It didn't feel like anything. Sarah said, "Closure doesn't need conversation." She was right. Apologies without accountability are noise. I wasn't here to collect guilt. I was building something new without their shadows. That text was a bridge. It was a tombstone. Sarah and I repainted the living room, covered the scuffed walls, removed the broken blinds. We picked a deep teal. She said it looked like courage. I agreed. Kevin helped hang framed court documents in my office, not as trophies but as reminders. Not of them, of me, of what I refused to become. That house used to feel haunted. Now it breathed. It reflected me. Stronger, sharper, scarred, and finally safe. At night, I sat by the window with Max, my rescue dog, my guardian. The stars felt different now. Not promises, not judgment, just quiet. Sarah joined me. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. Kevin messaged, "You turned pain into legacy." He wasn't wrong. My family wrote betrayal in stone. I carved truth beside it. And when people passed by, they saw both and knew which one lasted. I wasn't erased. I endured, and I chose light. I felt exhausted and lit a candle. Lavender, Sarah's favorite. The scent didn't heal, but it marked peace. My house stood untouched, unclaimed. Kevin's framed quote hung above the desk. "Silence never protects the scapegoat." That truth stitched me back together. I said, "Never again." Not in shame, not in fear. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was the boundary, the line they couldn't cross. And in that line, I finally found myself whole. Sarah and I organized a support group online first. Then local, estranged but empowered. Dozens joined. We shared stories, laughed through pain, offered legal tips. Jake joined anonymously. I knew it was him. His posts, "Some family wounds don't heal, they just teach." That line hit me hard. We weren't broken. We were rebuilt, not perfectly but deliberately. Every week, I saw resilience mirrored in new faces. It was no longer just my battle, it was ours. Max barked at the door once, just whined. Still, I checked the camera's old habits, but there was no threat, no Tyler. No shadows from the past. I whispered, "We're okay." Sarah nodded. "We are." Even the silence was kind now. I updated the blog, new post pieces and quiet. It's the right kind of noise. I wasn't hiding anymore. I wasn't waiting. I was living fully, loudly, legally sealed. Emotionally free, spiritually done, and proud. Kevin stopped by with donuts, said it was Celebrate Your Silence Day. We sat in the backyard, legs crossed like kids. "You're different," he said, lighter. I smiled. "I'm not scared anymore." He nodded. "They were heavy." "Logan, you carried them too long." I looked at the garden, still patchy, still growing like me. "We toasted with coffee." "To boundaries," he said. "To peace," I replied. That moment didn't heal me, but it reminded me I had healed. I passed the old neighborhood once out of curiosity. Their house was gone, foreclosed, boarded up, grass overgrown. Tyler's car once, his pride sat resting in the drive. Sarah gripped my hand, let it stay in the rearview. I did. No photos, no pauses, just a slow, steady breath. That place birthed pain, but it no longer owned me. I didn't wish them harm, just distance, because healing isn't always forgiveness. Sometimes it's just not turning around. Sarah asked once, if they apologized, would you take them back? I didn't hesitate. No, not from bitterness, from clarity. Trust isn't a blanket, it's a contract. They tore it, burned it, sued over its ashes. Kevin said, "That's growth, knowing the answer before the question finishes." I used to need their love. Now, I didn't need their permission to live fully. That's what healing taught me. Freedom isn't escape, it's standing still and feeling safe doing it. I printed one photo, me, holding the eviction papers, smiling. It's taped inside my closet door, not for revenge, for reminder that courage isn't loud. Sometimes it's just paperwork and resolve. Sarah framed a quote below it. "You did the hard thing." I look at it before interviews, before court dates for others. I whisper, "Still here, because I am, because I choose to be." In reaction, in reclamation, in resilience, in radical deliberate peace. Every Sunday I light a candle for myself. Not them, me, the survivor, the fighter, the boundary holder. Sarah joins sometimes. Kevin texts, "Burn one for me." It's not ritual, it's reminder that I made it. That peace isn't absence of pain, it's presence of safety. I don't cry anymore. Not about them. I cry for me. When I forget how far I've come, then I remember. Light the wick, a breathe in, a breathe out, and begin again. Tyler lost his appeal twice. His name's on court records now, searchable by anyone. He works odd jobs. Mom and Dad rent a cramped condo with paper-thin walls, no visitors, no holiday parties, just echo. My lawyer sent me a summary, case closed, all rights retained. Kevin popped champagne. Sarah laughed through tears. The house I bought alone remains mine alone. No ghosts, no claims, just my signature on the deed, just justice, finally in ink. Jake moved nearby. We talk weekly now, mostly jokes, sometimes grief. He said, "You broke the cycle." He's seeing a therapist. I started to, not to fix anything but to maintain what I fought for. Peace needs pruning, our therapist said. Boundaries don't mean bitterness, they mean clarity. Sarah added, and survival. We carved new holidays, friendsgiving, no drama December. Kevin hosts, Jake brings pie. We toast to distance and the joy it brings. This family we chose. I donated some court winnings to a legal fund for family abuse victims, anonymous, but purposeful. Sarah said, "You turn pain into power." Kevin nodded. Into protection. That's all I ever wanted, safety for me, for others. The blog grew, podcasts invited me. I declined most, not for ego, for peace. Some truths don't need microphones, just space. And choice, I chose a quieter legacy, a firmer one, not in flames but foundations, built on everything I learned surviving them. I planted a tree in the backyard, oak, slow growth, deep roots, like trust. Max likes to nap beneath it. I named it June. After the month I went no contact. Sarah painted a sign, "Not all roots are worth keeping." Kevin cried when he saw it. "You built something better," he said. We hosted a small dinner there, close friends, chosen family. No drama, no tension, just laughter, music, the smell of grilled corn. This was home. Finally, a stranger emailed me, "My daughter left an abusive home because of your story." That line rewrote my journey. Sarah printed it, Kevin framed it. I hung it in the hallway between a mirror and a bookshelf. Every time I pass, I remember I didn't just escape. I cleared a path. That's legacy, not revenge, not exposure, but choice. I chose peace, and peace chosen daily becomes protection, becomes family, becomes freedom. Not loud, but loud enough to echo. Sarah and I got engaged under June the oak. Nothing fancy, just fairy lights. Max barking, Kevin crying. She said, "You fought so hard for this peace. Let's build on it." I said yes, not just to her, to life again, to trust again, to love, not as survival but a sanctuary. Jake officiated. The group cheered. I wore blue, Sarah's favorite. That day didn't erase the past, it just overpainted it, in better hues, with chosen people, with hope. Now, I sleep easy, no lock checks, no camera scans, just Max snoring, Sarah's hand in mine, and the silence of a safe home. My story isn't neat, but it's mine. Every scar, every step, every no. They said I'd regret walking away. They were wrong. I reclaimed more than a house. I reclaimed myself. Family betrayed me, but I built better. With friends, with truth, with unshakable peace. And that finally is enough. That finally is freedom. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.